Hello, welcome friends. My name is Avinash Gorakshekar and I welcome all of you to another interesting episode of Konexio HighFlyers. Friends, in these episodes, we talk to you about emerging companies from emerging sectors, and we make it a point to talk to the promoters and the top managements of such companies so that all of us can get, good insights into the company's, business model, their growth journey, and their future expansion plans. And friends, today we have got a very interesting company which is going to hit the capital market very soon. The company's name is Positron Energy Limited, and we have the privilege and pleasure of having the promoter and the top management team. We have Mr. Rajiv Menon, who's the managing director of the company. Rajiv ji, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for sparing your valuable time. We also have Manav, uh, uh, Mr. Manav Bairi, who's the whole-time director and the CEO of the company. Manav ji, welcome to the show. Thank you very much. And we also have Mr. Sujit Sugatan, who's the whole-time director and the CFO of the company. Sujit ji, welcome to you also. So, gentlemen,
Thank you so
thank
much.
you very much. I think it's a very good thing that all vertical heads are also there with us along with Rajiv ji, so we can have a very fruitful discussion. And I'm quite sure that in this small interaction, we'll be able to understand the company's operations in a much better manner. So, Rajiv ji, first question to you. Just if you could explain to us, about the company's business model. Typically, which are the segments we cater to, and what is the positioning of our company in the domestic market? And if you could, share with us your small business journey. How did this business start? Was it a was it a first generation effort, or was it started by your father and then you continued it? So if you could just tell us some part of your business journey, that will also help us understand, your company's operations in a much better.
So thank you, Avinash ji. So I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Positron Energy Limited. This company was formed in 2008, and this company gives an entire solution to the natural gas vertical. And we've been formed in 2008, when in 2007 the sector got regulation, that oil and gas got a sector regulation, that is Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board, wherein the board has decided through Government of India that the sector will operate in a certain fashion, the expansion, the growth, and it's reached in the to the entire country, to the nook and corner of the country. So wherein we found this is a business opportunity wherein the sector needs experts of giving their insight to how this industry growth can take place. So we are the first generation entrepreneur. It is not given by coming in any of the legacy. We all three come from the same industry background, have a varied experience in the multinational companies, and now put together 16 years of running Positron Energy Limited. So we are there in advisory service management, and then we are the technical services, and also in gas aggregation. So when the sector started, so there was a big gap of advisory services wherein people have to be roped in into the new sector. And we take a pride in bringing the largest city gas private player on the board, whom we have advised. And at the same time, in 2009, we went to the Jharkhand Bokaro, where the pipelines were very restrictive in those times. So the gas has to be reached to the market. So we brought in an innovative model of taking natural gas through long tube trailers in compressed form to the industries, wherein we also have a pride to make large steel industry to come on natural gas, where they have been using on their blast furnace and different applications. So this is the business. And as and when we moved along, so and as and when the sector started growing, so from advisory, management advisory, we robbed into technical advisory and there into EPC of the project also. And as I told you, sector has been grown very much leaps and bounds in last 10 to 15 years. So the gas aggregation business, which we had a very clear view from the date of inception of this business in '09, when we started gathering small volumes. So last 3 years, we were able to consolidate our position starting from 100 MMBTU till 200, 300, and now 4,000 to 5,000 MMBTU per day, what we sell gas. That is our larger part of the business, which we take care of. And along with that, one more product line which we have developed is a dual fuel LNG kit, which will be very much used in this country for a long haul transport trucks and the commercial vehicles which are flying on the freeways or highways. So we are in the certain stages of approval, maximum government approvals we have got to use this. Couple of them pending. So in a month or two, we will be having that also. So there will be a rollout of that. also as a business vertical. Natural gas aggregation is totally taken care of by Manav, my colleague, who takes sourcing, selling, and everything. The technical advisory and the financials is taken care by Sujit. So that's how the split of the business and the vertical heads are there in this call.
Okay. I think, thank you, Rajivji, very well articulated. Manojji, the second question to you is, since Rajivji, mentioned what is your vertical. So just wanted to understand, what is the present positioning of our company? We have now got a very good experience in the oil and gas sector, which is very, it is a very niche sector, and it takes a lot of time for the customer also to build comfort. So first tell us, sir, what is the, positioning of our company in the domestic market? And secondly, just to add to this, what is the kind of opportunity for growth, for the oil and gas sector? Gas is a, sector where government has been also pushing for green, kind of, energy. So, they are trying to, push as much as possible more and more gas availability across pan India. So tell us, what is the opportunity we have over the next, say, 3, 5 years, and how will the company, position itself to capitalize on this growth? So if you could please share your thoughts.
Sure. See, we are present in the entire value chain of natural gas, and specifically with regards to downstream business. We are the only business development solution providers for the industry. So we work with the industry, we handhold the clients through the transition process, wherein they are using their alternate fuels, and we bring them onto natural gas. It's a slow process wherein we build confidence with the consumers, and we ensure that consumer has confidence in natural gas and us in order to take this association forward. We are also present, as Rajiv has pointed out, in management consultancy services, technical services. Further, in gas aggregation business, what has happened is the government of India, and there is a global shift towards greener fuels. And natural gas is a transition fuel wherein we are going to move in from polluting fossil fuels to greener renewable. And natural gas is a transition fuel which is a very important anchor between the two. What we have done is we have slowly but surely consolidated our gas portfolio, wherein we have taken gas from multiple sources, and we have executed multiple contracts for transportation, gas sourcing, and delivery to the end user in order to ensure that the customer has a seamless availability of gas without any problems, and he can concentrate on his core activity of manufacturing, wherein we take care of everything else. We also kind of help the consumers in building a formidable mixture of various portfolio of natural gas which is available in the market. So we have also executed a couple of gas transmission agreements. We have executed gas sourcing agreements, which enables us to offer flexibility to our consumers, and we are able to shift and move at a very rapid pace between the contracts in order to ensure that customer is able to meet his requirements, whatever his requirements, because every customer has got a very unique need, and that need needs to be addressed. And that is, with the flexibility of contracts that we have, we are able to offer those flexibilities to our consumers. And to take the discussion forward, we have also more than 300 city gas distribution entities which are present in the length and breadth of the country. So there also we are in position to supply molecules to the consumer. Plus, in the recent past, there has been a move to connect east, west, north, south, all the four corners of the country, and there are large trunk transmission pipelines which are getting executed, and they are getting commissioned over a period of time. That is opening up new geography for us. Earlier, there were just about 30, 35 city gas distribution entities, and the network was concentrated in Gujarat, Maharashtra, some parts of Delhi, Haryana, and Karnataka. Today, there is a pipeline network across the country. Now we have, so with the connect of new geographies that are coming on the network, we are able to take gas to newer areas. Like Udaganga pipeline is taking it to east and northeast, south and southeast. We are able to connect from east-west pipeline from east to west and west to east. So with the increase in the availability of natural gas across the country, we are able to have a bigger footprint of natural gas and are present in most of the parts of the country. Last but not the least, as I told you, the government today is focusing on natural gas, and at this point in time, the energy mix is about 6% of natural gas in the entire energy mix of India. The government has set a target for itself to increase the energy mix from 6% to 15% over the next couple of years, that is in 2030. The natural gas is going to be about 15% of the energy portfolio of the country. So we are talking about more than doubling the utilization of natural gas in various areas in the country. So we have a favorable tailwind, and hopefully we should be, we are nicely poised for growth over the next couple of years.
I think very nicely mentioned by you, sir, because that clearly indicates that there is a huge tailwind for us for growing in the next 3 to 5 years comfortably. Sujit, now next question to you is if you could give us a kind of a broad revenue breakup of the various products for FY23 and whatever we have done for FY24. If you could give us a rough kind of percentage breakup, what percentage of revenue came from which vertical, which will help us understand the revenue mix better.
All right. Positron Energy, as Rajiv and Manav both have mentioned very clearly, that is present across the entire value chain of natural gas. So it is basically split into two aspects of our business. One is the technical services, and the second is gas aggregation business. Now, looking into the entire 15-year journey, majorly Positron was known as a business development solution provider, and we were management consultants, where 100% of our revenue used to come from management consulting. In the last 3 to 4 years, we slowly and steadily entered into the gas aggregation business. And step by step, we have been consolidating our position in the gas aggregation business as well. So in 2022 financial year, we were kind of, having a revenue split of around 50-50, kind of 50% was coming from gas aggregation business and 50% was coming from technical services business. In the last year, again, with our consolidated efforts in terms of expanding our gas aggregation business, now we have maintained kind of 80 to 85% of our business share is coming from gas aggregation business, and 15-20% of remaining business is coming from our technical services. So it is very clearly witnessed that with the expansion in the oil and gas sector and with the kind of growth in the sector, we are also consolidating our position, and we are trying to maintain the similar split for the years to come. That is at 85% of gas aggregation and 15% of technical services.
Okay, fine. Rajivji, now next question to you is, if you could please share with us, some of the marquee customers, which we cater to, because that will help us understand, your company's profile in a much better way. So even if you could share a few names, that will be of quite help to us.
Okay. Avinaji, in this, as we have understood that we operate in 2 or 3 verticals. That is, one is technical advisory and another is gas aggregation. The product is still to come. So in the technical, advisory services, we are there to provide technical management advisory and EPC projects. So in majorly that we are serving all the city gas distributors, distributing company, we are advising them in one of the other capacities, maybe it a technical advisory, wherein we bring our team's technical strength of resolving some issue, a cluster design or something sort of, and even there as for the last mile connectivity, laying the PE pipeline to the end consumer up to household. So in technical advisory business, we are serving all the city gas distribution company, maximum of them we are present. And in gas aggregation, again, our major staker with the large industries like ceramic industries and steel industries, and even in some few power plants and large petrochemical plants, and to this city gas distributors also. So broadly, we are there in this segment in the gas aggregation, and same way in technical side of the business.
Understood. Rajivji, the next question to you is that Manavji already mentioned, that the tailwind in the sector is extremely strong for the next 3-5 years. But, over the next, say, 12 months, because we are already in financial year FY25, if you could share with us, your demand assessment, what are customers saying? What are you sensing from the market? If you could please share your thoughts on the demand scenario for the current year.
Yeah. So as we have, you have maybe seen our numbers which we have filed in the DRHP till November. So the growth rate and the energy divide mix would be the same and will continue the same growth for this financial year, for the previous financial year, and coming up next couple of financial years.
Okay, understood. Rajuji, now, I understand this is typically an order book driven business. So, without sharing a number, if you could tell us typically how many months of order book does the company normally take? Because that will give us a sense of, momentum which has already been built in this year's numbers. We are already 80 crores up to November, but, over and above that, what's the, position as of now? Like, do we normally keep 3 months or 4 months of order book? Or is it like on a, customer basis, like, the customer gives us allocates orders and then accordingly we supply. So if you could please tell us something on the order book status.
Okay. So again, the same DRSP numbers, I would like to share that there is already mention of the order book, which is on our technical business side, advisory business side, which takes care of O&M, EPC projects that were up to, in November, what we have done. So that has been added for more further. So typically in the technical advisory business, the order book is for an year or a year, one order would last for a year and a half or two. So that's how the growth is there in that sector. And for last 3 years, there are lots of city gas distribution licenses which has been awarded. So that corresponds into lots of last mile connectivity to be done in the majority of the area. So that can correspond to our growth numbers in the order book size of the technical advisory part. And as far as gas aggregation is there, as we are selling 3,000 to 4,000 MMBTU now, so that is having a long-term supply agreement from suppliers, and the same we do have for our end consumer also. So our end consumer agreements are typically back-to-back agreements. Sometimes they are short-term agreements of 6 months to 8 months, and sometimes they are on-call basis agreement also, which happens on just notice trade types. So this order book continues to happen, and it's a continuous consolidation of our position as and when we get an opportunity in the gas trade market.
Okay. Understood. I think I was going to ask you this question on the pricing side, which you told me indirectly in the earlier question answer. But Rajuji, tell me one thing that, how many customers have, decided that, okay, a fixed amount of gas aggregation will happen through our company. And for new customers, typically, what is the kind of, strategy you follow? Like suppose there's a new customer who comes in. Typically, what is the kind of pricing you work out with him? Do you work out the volume? Do you work out the geographical reach? And then come up to a kind of a flexible price. I want to understand if there is any cost escalation. I mean, is there
Yeah.
any method by which we can recover that cost and pass it on to the customer?
Okay. So typically this agreement, so whichever the supply side agreement is there, as we aggregate the gas, are on a linked price or on an international linkage, mainly on a crude or some linkages are there. How this is how the globally energy prices are marked up, and it is a cost plus model. So and we have with along with our margin and same back to back terms with the our end consumers. So a price escalation is a directly whatever the contracts we have, it's just pass on to them. So whatever factors apply for the price escalation would be a pass on to the end consumer.
Okay, understood. So basically, the company is basically particularly saved from any raw material price volatility. So
Yeah,
any increase is passed on to the customer, which is fine. Okay,
precisely.
now Manavji, next question to you. I think we just wanted to understand what is the competitive intensity of our industry. See, are there many players in the industry, or are there select players? Because this business requires a lot of technical support, a lot of infrastructure to be built in, and only then the gas companies start believing ancillary services like us. So tell us one thing, sir. What is the competitive intensity? Is it very fierce, or is there a market available for everybody? If you could please share your thoughts.
Sure. See, we are in a very diverse business segment, wherein we are providing management consulting services, we are providing technical services, and we are doing gas sales and aggregation business. So they are, I think nobody, to my mind, is in such a diverse segment. Plus, we are focusing on oil and gas and specifically city gas distribution and natural gas sector. So there are not many competitors that I know of who are operating in such a broad spectrum of services that we are offering. However, in our bits and pieces of small niche areas, there could be competitors, there could be players wherein we face competition. Like for management consulting, we have the big four. It's a very niche area that we are operating in, oil and gas, and specifically for natural gas. So in that sector, there could be some competition from the big four. Apart from that, from technical services, there are a few players, few government PSU consulting firms which are there in the market. Apart from that, there are some local players. So, and in gas sales and aggregation business, we have a very unique business model wherein we work with our clients in order to develop the market, develop the application, and ensure seamless connectivity and supply of gas to the consumer. There are a lot of players who could be simply supplying the molecule to the consumer, but there are not many players who are offering such a comprehensive bouquet of services to the consumer. So, per se, competition is limited in our area of expertise.
Oh, fine. Understood, Manavji. Now, next question, which is related, Manavji, we all know the financials of the company, but in terms of qualitative aspects, if you could highlight 2, 3 points stating that why our company is doing a slightly better job in the same industry. And, if you could tell us how we add value to the customer, like, obviously the customers are happy with our service, our execution. So if you could highlight 2, 3, qualitative factors for us, which can help us understand the company's operations better.
Sure. See, let me start by saying that we are offering customized solutions, innovative solutions to our consumers. We work with our consumer. First, we identify the area where customer needs our help in terms of management consulting, technical services, or for that matter, gas sales and aggregation. So we understand the need of the consumer, and then we offer tailor-made solutions in order to ensure that the customer is able to meet his requirement. We have about 140 engineers which are spread across the length and breadth of the country. So these engineers are our ears and our eyes who give us information from the ground, and we are aware of the natural problems that a given area or a given sector or a given geography may be facing. So based on that, we devise solutions in order to address to that given problem. Further, we have we kind of have multiple contracts, and each of these contracts have got this typical terms which have to be complied with. So what we do, we make a synthetic contract for our consumers, and we are when we make a synthetic contract, we try and ensure that their needs are met, and we are able to ensure that our risks are also protected. So in the entire scenario, we are able to offer customized and comprehensive solution to our consumers. So as Rajiv was pointing out during his initial discussion, we have worked with few of the largest steel companies and developed a variety of applications for the steel industry. Similarly, we have worked for ceramic industry, and we have developed a variety of applications for ceramic industries. We have worked in the area of ensuring that molecules can be made available to consumers where the pipeline network connectivity is limited or not available. So we offer customized solution, innovative and customized solution, which helps us to get the trust and faith of the consumer.
So fine. I think Manavji very well articulated. So now very well understood, what's the USP of our company. Sujit now for the financial, if you could tell us, sir, FY23, as you rightly mentioned, has been a very strong year. FY24 has also been very strong, top line, bottom line. You mentioned that gas aggregation has been one of the key reasons, the top line increasing, profitability increasing. How do you see this trend going forward? Like, without giving a number, for FY25, what's the kind of outlook in terms of growth which we can assume, it can happen for the current year? And will margins be sustained, or do you think these can get better?
All right. So, as you correctly pointed out, last 2 to 3 years, we have been really focusing in terms of, increasing our gas aggregation volumes, and that has given a real upside in terms of the top lines for the company. Uh, Going forward basis also, we are, envisaging that the same momentum has to be maintained. So I'll slightly add a point out here in terms of understanding, basically the sector is directly linked with the progress in terms of the gas infrastructure development in the country. And that is being monitored under the Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board, who has ensured that the licensing process, which was completed in the last couple of years back, which covers around 98% of the country. Now, what does that indicate is very clearly that the coming 5 to 6 years will have certain minimum work program commitment which each of these entities have to undertake. So that clearly indicates, there is huge potential of, business that is there in both the aspect of our business, technical services as well as for the gas aggregation business. For technical services, the infrastructure development will help us contribute, and the remaining part will contribute through the expansion in the gas aggregation business as well. So what we personally believe is like, with the kind of impetus and the consolidation of positions that we have undertaken, we would be in a position to, take up a growth parameter roughly around 70-75% for the next coming 2 years is what we are expecting. And we are confident enough that based on the historical numbers, what we have seen and witnessed in the FY23 and FY24, we should be in a position to maintain the similar, growth potential for the coming 2 years as well. Now, coming back in terms of the margin, the EBITDA margin that is being demonstrated across the two different business verticals are slightly different in nature. When we look into technical services or management consulting, we look at a margin of roughly around 10% to 20%. It varies the kind of business that we are into. Operation and maintenance has different, as well as the management consulting has got a very different kind of margin play. When it comes in terms of gas aggregation, already both Manav and Rajiv have explained that it is directly linked with international market. A lot of benchmarking is there. What we are witnessing is their margin play is happening between 5% to 10-11% is what is being witnessed. So all the businesses put together, we are targeting to ensure that our EBITDA margin for the company has to be maintained somewhere between 8% to 11% is what we are targeting. And commensurate to that, we should be having a profit as well for the company of the range between 6 to 7.5% is what we would be targeting to maintain.
Okay, understood. Sujit, now, Sujit, the most important question for today. If you could tell us something about the company's IPO plans, we would like to know what is the size of the issue and what is the objective for which these funds are going to be raised.
Right. So, Positron Energy Limited is, coming out with this IPO and intends to raise upwards of 50 to 52 crores from this IPO. And the major proceeds that would be coming from the IPO, it is being targeted for utilizing for our working capital requirement of the company. When I say working capital requirement of the company, it is directly linked with the growth potential that we are expecting from our gas aggregation business, which has to be further tapped. So we have already reached to certain levels. In order to secure more gas molecules, we would be utilizing the proceeds from the IPO or securing more gas molecules for the company, which will help us achieve the growth targets that we have just discussed.
Oh, understood. Now, Sujitji, one thing which I wanted to understand is that now you mentioned that the IPO money is going to be used for working capital. Sir, what is the normal working capital cycle in our business? Right from the time you get the order, you deliver it, the customer pays you. If you could tell us the working capital cycle broadly.
Right. So working capital cycle also is different for both the business vertical that we are working at present. So when we look into the gas aggregation business, the billing happens on a fortnightly basis, and normally there are different contracts have different terms and conditions. In certain contracts we have 3 revolutions, certain contracts it is having 4 revolution on a fortnightly basis. Typically, it is seen that 30 days to 45 days is the kind of working capital requirement which has to be maintained for this business. When we look into the management consulting and technical services aspect of the business, it again depends from 60 days to 90 days is the kind of working capital related business cycle that we are witnessing at this point in time. But on an average, all the businesses put together, what we look at is typically between 45 to 60 days of working capital we have to always maintain in the business.
Okay. Now, Sujitji, one question which I wanted to ask you, please correct me if I'm wrong. I was
Yeah.
observing that we have not added significant assets. Our business is largely an asset-light model, and we are
Right.
basically growing because of better working capital management. So,
Correct.
how has the company managed this business model? Because typically in gas aggregation, one thing which comes to mind, for a layman is that a lot of infrastructure is also involved. You have to make a lot of fixed investment. So
Right.
basically, tell us one thing: how has this low asset-light model emerged for the company, and how have you been running it so successfully?
Right. So here we need to really understand the business model that we have been discussing about. So the gas aggregation business that we have been working on is in terms of leveraging the entire infrastructure that the country has witnessed over the last 15 years in terms of the development of the transmission pipeline on a common carrier basis, which is already developed under the regime of Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board. The infrastructure is made available to the entire nation. So all the entities like us who have the experience of dealing in the natural gas business are in a position to leverage this infrastructure which is available in the country and provide the solution to the end consumers. As Manav just mentioned, we are positioning ourselves as one-stop solution providers and business development solution providers for the oil and gas sector and our end clients. So what does that entail is we kind of try and provide the solution through the available infrastructure which is there. So when we say gas aggregation, we are not in terms of developing the infrastructure or laying the pipelines and taking the gas to the end consumer. We are leveraging the existing infrastructure which is there in the country, and we are trying to provide the solution to our end consumers, industrial consumers, as well as the CGD operators. So that is the reason when you look into the books, you find that it is an asset-light model. Basically, we are raising the capital again, utilizing it for the working capital requirement, because the entire success of Positron's gas aggregation business is in terms of having the maximum gas molecules from various different domestic sources as well as LNG terminals across the country. In order to secure the maximum molecules, we require to provide the maximum guarantees to the upstream suppliers as well as the LNG suppliers for Positron. So that is the reason why it is a real asset-light model, and it is highly dependent on working capital. So we are securing all the working capital funds for issuing the performance bank guarantees and the SBLCs which are required for helping us take the maximum molecules into our kitty. So that's the reason.
So I think understood, very well explained by you, Sujit ji. Now, just one more clarification. In financial terms, Sujit ji, can we expect that because you get working capital now from the public issue, you will get the benefit of operating leverage, because once working capital comes in, you can increase your top line in a much more significant manner. So, is this thinking right from my side?
Absolutely, yes. Based on the working capital increase that is going to happen in terms of the business ratios, the various contribution coming from each of the business verticals and the segments are going to remain the same. But the growth potential is immense across both the segments because the entire industry is also growing at the same pace. And as Mano mentioned, that the ratio of the gas in the entire energy mix itself is poised to increase from 6% to 15%. So that
Correct.
share has to come in across both the segments, and we will
Okay.
be maintaining the same kind of profitability across both the segments as well as the growth for both the segments based on the working capital
Okay.
when it is made available to the company. Yeah.
Okay. Understood. Manojji, last question now to you. Every business has got certain risk attached, and we have seen the impact of COVID. But if we leave alone COVID, Manojji, what is the most important risk in our business? Is it execution? Is it reliability that the customer depends on us? हमारे धंधे में सबसे बड़ा risk क्या है, and how have we managed this risk so well up till now?
Sure. Uh, see, I'll break the risk in two parts. Domestically, if you see, the tailwinds are in favor, the market is growing, the use of natural gas as a preferred fuel is growing in the country and across industries, and the transition fuel all is adding up. So, risk in this part is limited. However, there is a risk, and the risk is with regards to the geopolitical situation, which is rather fragile nowadays. We have seen Russia-Ukraine war coming up. We have seen Israel-Hamas war, and there are a host of other geopolitical tensions which impact our industry very either ways, both ways, positively as well as negatively. So the pricing of alternate fuel, the pricing of natural gas, typically is a function of the geopolitical situation in the globe. So that is one risk. So in order to address that risk, what we have done is that we have made our contracts which are on back-to-back basis, as Rajiv has pointed out during his discussion earlier. Plus, what we have also done is that we we are very flexible, we are nimble footed, and we kind of, as and when there is any change in the market, we reach out to the consumers, we discuss with them, explain to them, and our consumers also understand the geopolitical scenario, and they are more than willing to cooperate with us, and we are able to pass on the risk, and we are able to mitigate the risk amicably. So geopolitical risk is there, and we are able to manage.
So basically, you can say that this business has got significant tailwind. So nothing so significant can change the tailwind that soon. And obviously, we are well positioned. So, that means that next 3-4 years at least, the company has got a very strong runway for growth. So anyway, Manoji, Sujit and Rajiv ji, it was a pleasure talking to all of you. My best wishes to you, your entire management team, and sir, best wishes for your forthcoming public issue also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Avinash ji.
Thank you so much.